Before we start coding, I wanted to take a second and give you a brief tour of RStudio. Now, my general philosophy is that the sooner you get hands-on with the material, the easier it is to understand. Conversely, if you spend too much time on the fundamentals, you'll become overwhelmed and disinterested quickly. Therefore, we'll cover the very basics of RStudio setup and operations. Once we get hands-on with the code, we'll begin to expand our knowledge of the fundamentals as they relate to our specific needs, and we'll build our foundation over time. So let's first take a look at the layout of RStudio. RStudio contains 4 quadrants on the screen, which are known as panes. Starting in the top left, we have what's referred to as the source pane, but you could think of this as our code editor, or syntax editor if you're familiar with SPSS. This is where we'll write all of our code used to perform our analyses, and it's where we'll spend most of our time doing these videos. Below that is our output area, known as the console. Anytime we run code in our source pane, some sort of result will appear in the console. For example, after running our regression analyses, we'll see the results down here. In the top right is the environment, which displays all of our active datasets and stored objects. More on those later. We won't use the other tabs in this pane as often, if at all, but you might find the tutorial tab useful. I recommend exploring these in your own personal time after you've completed a few videos. And finally, in the bottom right is a multi-tool pane, which we'll primarily use for the plots and help tabs. The plots tab will display the plots that we generate, for example, our simple slopes or Johnson-Niemann plots, and we'll occasionally use the help tab to understand how to write our code. For now, I want you to be familiar with the layout, but don't stress about learning what every pane and every tab does. We'll become more familiar with them as we begin coding. Let's briefly talk about the theme of our RStudio. As you might have noticed, my RStudio looks different from yours. I've changed my window and text themes to provide more contrast to my code and make it easier to read at a glance. I'll quickly show you how to change the display settings if you're interested. Just go to Tools, then Global Options, and finally, Appearance. These are the settings that I use, and I'll recommend that you pause the video to check them out if you're interested in copying my settings. I recommend you play around and see what looks and works best for you, but don't spend too much time thinking about it now. As you learn more about the basics of coding, you'll develop a better understanding of what themes might work best for you. Now, let's move on to the functionality of R. The very first thing you need to know is that R comes with a lot of great functions built in, but almost all the analyses we'll run require us to install packages that give R extra functionality. For example, there's a package that allows us to run latent variable analyses like CFAs, EFAs, and SEM in R, and that package is called lavaan. If you're reading a manuscript in a top journal that ran SEM in R, chances are you'll see them reference the lavaan package in their manuscript. Luckily, R makes it super easy to install these add-on packages. In our source pane, or code editor section, we just need to type in install.packages, followed immediately by an open and closed parenthesis. Within those parentheses, we'll place the name of the package we wish to install. And this will be our first lesson about coding in R. Whenever we wish to perform a function, such as installing packages, we use the name of that function, followed by parentheses, and within those parentheses, we tell the function what to work with. For example, if we want to install lavaan to perform latent variable analyses, we'll use the install packages function and place lavaan, all lowercase and in quotation marks, inside of these parentheses. Two important things to note are that we must place the package name inside of the quotation marks, as R needs to look up that text and find the package with that name to install, and the name of the package is case sensitive, as is all R code. To run this install packages command, place your cursor on the line of code and hit the run button here. Alternatively, you can hit Ctrl+Enter or Command+Enter on Mac on your keyboard while your cursor is on the line of code you wish to run. The Control and Enter method is the one you'll likely use by default. When we run this line of code, the console pane will tell us that the package is being installed, and it will tell us when the installation is complete by saying that the package has successfully unpacked and downloaded. After the package is installed, we must activate it within our R code file in order to use it. We'll have to reactivate that package every time we restart R or open a new code file. To activate the package, we'll use the library function. Within the library function, we'll place the name of the package, but this time we won't wrap the package in quotation marks. This is because the package is installed on our computer, and R is able to recognize it without quotation marks. It'll actually refuse to recognize it if you include them. This will make more sense over time. Again, with our cursor on the line of code, we'll hit Run or press Ctrl plus Enter to perform the library function. After running the function, the console provides more output with information about the package that was activated. Alright, if you remember nothing else from this video, remember that we need to install packages to give our R extra functionality. The first time we use a new package, we need to install it using the install.packages command. Then, we must activate it by using the library function every time we restart R or create a new code file. That's all for setup. In the next video, we'll finally write our first lines of code. See you there.